so we're gonna pull Derek here in my guard. So some people tend to have a tight guard or they want to pull them in tight, and some people have longer legs and they're able to get those hooks in. But again, it's not that hard for the person on top to try to lean back and then kind of break the guard, especially if they have one knee in here. So typically you don't want to be staying here for terribly too long or try to hold them in this position, because they'll just work their way out. Typically an easy escape is one knee between the butt cheek pushing back, or they use the elbows or a combination of the two to get through here. So what I'm going to do with Derek is I'm going to pull him in here. And typically the reason why I'm pulling him in also is I'm trying to set him up for his hands to be here. Sometimes they have the hands out to the side, right? And you pull him in, I would be doing a different move. But in this case, he's put his hands in because maybe he wants to go for a choke. Maybe he wants to keep pressure against me so I don't sit up, because if his elbows are in tight, if he has his hands on my stomach, slide your hands down a little bit, then it's keeping me from sitting up and pulling him down. And he may want to post from that point. But this is a good setup. If you get him to be in this position where his elbows are bent, he's on the center of your chest, this is a good position for me. So if I take my right hand on this side here and I cup it over and I kind of control it, that's kind of keeping him from going that way. So if he starts to move his hand that way, I've got a little bit of pressure pushing against my elbow to the floor. This hand here, I'll go under the other hand and I'll cup it over and I'll suck in that elbow. So we want to have his wrist and his elbow centered to my sternum. So what happens here is sometimes they try to pull away and pull the elbow toward the groin. So what I want to do is I want to try to pop up the hips and center it out, or they'll pull the elbows that way, right? And I don't want that either, because that's not, he's just going to post. If I lean him that way, he'll post his elbow to the floor. So again, I regain here, I kind of pop it up and bring the elbow back to the center. So the first movement is make sure we have a good control of the one side from here. Then I'm going to take the foot that's on the same side, I'm going to post it here. And what I want to do typically is I want to try to get a leverage point. So I'm going to push away from this position. This leg on top is going to kind of climb him, and it's going to work his way over the shoulder. That minimizes his range of motion with the other hand as well. So if I have the hand here, he can try to take the hand under and push my leg over. I don't want that. So to keep him from going under this leg, I want to ride this leg up as close to his head and armpit as I can. Now he tries to pull that leg out. He doesn't have any space that he needs. So I still have control here. If he pulls a little bit on that arm, I'm losing it. I'll pop my hips up and I'll suck him back in. So I have his elbow above my hip, or at least in front of my thigh. Once his elbow pulls inward toward my thigh or behind my hamstring, then I'm going to lose the move completely. So now that I have a good angle, I have a good bite down on my left hand, then it's easy to get this leg around. Now sometimes, right now it's pretty easy for me to get that leg around, but sometimes it's hard to get the leg around, depends on the size of the person or your angle. So I can remove the hand that was by the wrist, still keep the hand on the elbow, push the head back, and tighten it up here. In the Jeet Kune Do application, there'd be strikes here, right? Eye gouges, ear pops, scratching of the face, bum, 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 right? While I'm doing this. But I'm gonna go here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bite down, especially on the top leg, which by the neck. The heel's gonna go toward the ground. The hips are gonna go up, and I'm gonna apply pressure until he taps. He's tapped there. Now, sometimes what they'll do is they'll roll, and that's why you also don't want to cross your leg over, because I don't want that to have the interference. I'm going to lose the pressure on the head. So I want to keep this not crossed, but tight and bite down on the head. Now let's say he rolls, he'll roll down on this one, but keep rolling, rolling, rolling. It's okay, then I'm in a good position to still do that straight arm bar. All right, back up. Let's try it from the other side. Get a different angle here. So I pulled Derek in. We brought my hands. Sometimes I just kind of fold out my arms and kind of pull him in, and that kind of keeps his elbows in as well. Last time I took my right hand to his left side. This time my left hand's going to go to the side here. So I have the guard position here. I have him tucked in. I'm going to take the left hand and hold onto the wrist and center it out to my sternum. I'm going to take the other hand, go under his arm, cup and center out the alignment of his elbow to his wrist to my sternum, perpendicular. Now the left hand, since I have his right side, I'm going to take my left foot, put it on his right hip, but I'm not going to push to my side where I put the foot. I'm going to push over here. But before I do that, see this here? Again, put that hand under my leg and then lift it up. See, I don't want that to happen. So put it back. So to make sure that doesn't happen, as soon as I unfold my legs, I want to ride and climb and get a good bite with this leg. Now he can't pull his elbow back. I've secured his range of motion here. If he slides the opposite hand out a little bit, I bump my hip and I suck him in and pull it in even tighter. Still having a good grip up in here, still putting pressure into his armpit. Then again, my leg should be able to fit over. If it doesn't, that's okay. I can release the hand nose by my wrist for a second, push it away, and again, that's where I would be pulling hair, biting, clawing, eye gouging, going for the throat, poking into the pressure points, if this were a Jeet Kune Do street fight, right? So I push it, I go over. Next thing I want to do, what I don't want to do is I don't want to push away from my body because that's going to loosen up his elbow friction. I suck it back in. I take my foot that's on the head and push it straight down, lift my hips straight up, bite down tight here, do the same thing with both feet, and I lift nice and slow. There's his tap. If he happens to roll, go ahead and roll. No problem, I'll just roll up here, cross it over, suck him in, lift it up, finish the game from there. And again, once I'm there, if it were a street fight, right, I broke the arm, remember, he just has one broken arm. The fight's not over. So just be aware of that. The fight isn't over when he taps, because in a street fight, you will see people that will tap out because they're so in tune to that with the UFC, or if they're a competitive jiu-jitsu person as well, or just they watch the TV. So you broke one arm, now what? Are you gonna fight multiple people? You gotta get up quickly. Are you gonna worry about weapons? Can he take his arm that wasn't broken and reach for a pistol, reach for a syringe, reach for a knife, reach for a pipe on the ground, whatever. So again, I have him in this position. You broke one arm potentially, right? You still have this leg that can smash the feet in for self-defense. You still need to get up. You still need to egress in case they have partners. Practice.